Welcome to another edition of LLsTheTruth. I've got special guests with me, Sharon, Paul, Dino and Mark. So, first of all, I should say good morning, good evening.
Morning.
Good night.
Good night. And please do subscribe to the channel so you can get some notifications about when the next episode's on. And also, please do make your comments down below. So this week's episode is a discussion about what is acceptable contact when you're interested in a woman without making them feel uneasy. Now, before we start this discussion, I'm just going to invite another guest, Jason, who's going to be added to this discussion virtually. So, hi Jason.
Hello.
All right, okay. So, what do we think? And I'm going to go to the men because maybe the men are feeling a little bit uneasy because of what's in the media about the moment, about women quite rightly in some circumstances feeling a bit threatened when it comes to men and the behaviour. But then men are generally just a bit uneasy themselves about approaching women because they don't want to be falsely accused of making someone feel uncomfortable. Do you think? Jason, what do you think?
I think it's really difficult because of what's happening in the media for a guy to know acceptable. And I think back to what I used to do in the past. I've seen a woman on the other side and I've crossed her to then speak to her. But in some of the things I'm hearing recently in the media, it's acceptable now. That is something that is shunned and said now not acceptable. How's a guy supposed to be? What's he supposed to do?
Okay, so I think we might be having some technical problems, so I'm just going to repeat what you've said. So Jason's point of view is that sometimes, as I've really stated beforehand, is that sometimes guys have made or approached a lady in the past, but some of those actions might not be acceptable now. So Jason was saying that he's seen somebody that he's been interested in, he's walked over the road to start a conversation, but is not sure whether that's acceptable contact given some of the stuff that's in the media. Is that correct, Jason?
Yes.
Okay. So guys, have you got any comments in relation to that? What do you think?
Yeah, there's an advert on TV that was kind of showing that there's some guys, I can't remember if they're playing football or they're doing something in the park and a girl walks past and one of them says something.
Yeah.
Right? One of them says something and then another guy goes, hey, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
Right? And I watched that and I thought, back in the day, that's the kind of thing that you would do.
Yeah.
A girl walks past and you go, hey girl. Oh, you know,
hey,
words
girl.
Words to that effect.
Yeah.
Maybe not them words, but
yes.
you'd shout it, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, get her attention. But from that advert, it's saying that that's no longer acceptable.
Yeah.
And for me, you know, old school, you know, did meet women online, like what youngsters are doing now. That's what you did. If you wanted to meet someone, you go and talk to them.
Yeah.
And if you're shouting them, you know, because you don't know their names, so you probably go, hey girl, or, you know, hey beautiful, or hey sexy, or whatever.
Yeah.
But this advert
lyrics.
is
That's
not how you got me though.
It is. But you know, doing that kind of thing now, apparently, according to this advert, is the wrong thing. So I don't know what guys are supposed to do. I don't know what is supposed to be acceptable.
I mean, I personally don't see what would be wrong in you. If you were interested in me and you crossed the road to have a conversation, I wouldn't object to that initially. It's just that if I wasn't interested and you progressed with the conversation, that's when it's going to become uneasy, isn't it? And that's when you should
approach
just take
as well,
the
though. It depends on how the young man or man approaches you. Just depends on the manner, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the what you're describing there, is it because you in that? I haven't seen the advert. So is it like a group of men together?
Yeah. So they're all they're all doing something.
Some banter and stuff.
Yeah, you know, like your group, and someone walks past and goes, see that girl? Hey, and I can't remember the words they use, but another guy in the group says, "Hey, that's not acceptable."
Yeah.
So,
well, throwing that out to the women then. So if you were walking by and there's a group of they're playing football, and you've walked past it, and then one shouts out to you, how would you feel about that?
You probably just smile and keep walking.
Depends on how confident you are, isn't it? Because, you know, if it's a decent hailing, then it's fine, but it means nothing, doesn't it, really?
I mean, if
I suppose if they come across the road...
If it's what?
Skinny legs. Skinny legs. Yeah, and then if you came across the road and had no teeth, and then not look right, and then breath smell, I'd be like, jog on.
Yeah, but that's more about...
Attraction.
That's more about the person and it rather than the approach and it. So
I suppose a similar thing would be, for instance, at a building site.
I was thinking about that.
Right. So a building's been upgraded or redeveloped or something, and you got all these builders with their builder bottom out, and then all of a sudden you get a wolf whistle.
Nah.
Again, that's been.
But they're saying that's unacceptable.
They're saying
that's unacceptable. They're saying that's unacceptable.
But some women would think that will boost their confidence if someone's whistling at them. You know, so some people might say that's unacceptable, but some people might say, well, you know, for me that's good because that shows I'm attractive. So yeah, I think it's difficult. Why isn't that acceptable? Why should that not be acceptable? And again, I suppose you throw it out to the women.
I think it's just the confidence of the woman, though, isn't it?
So, Jason, what do you want to say then? So, have you got something to say in addition to what you've already said?
Yeah, so I guess heckling has changed, and what we were used to growing up, heckling now might be acceptable. But if a guy just says good afternoon, or just starts talking, is that okay, bro?
That's different. That's different, though, isn't it?
So I just want to make sure everybody heard what Jason said. So he was saying heckling is not acceptable, but just trying to start a conversation may be acceptable.
But then sometimes some women might take that as a different way, isn't it? Because he can just be having a general conversation, not wanting anything, and she's taking it the opposite way.
There's that too. There's that too.
Yeah, definitely.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, so many different. I suppose I definitely think it should be acceptable for a man to see a woman that he's interested in and go, I know if I was still a single man, that's what I would be doing. But as you said, if you go across, you start that initial conversation, within seconds you know if so at that point you think, you know what,
get the kiss teeth or the cut eye or the look
you know, so you might, obviously if you went across and you got a knockback initially, you might think, okay, well let me just make sure, but once you've tried a little bit, you realise, okay, you know what, let me just walk away from this, and that's what you should just leave it. I'm not sure that always happens. I don't think it does. But
So what were you thinking? Anything else, Joe?
So if it was in a wine bar or bar situation, and there's a single lady there, and she's gone out, she's nice, she smells nice, she wants to be approached, what are the parameters?
Okay, I'm going to say first you've made an assumption there, but I'm going to just say what you said. So you said, for instance, you're in a wine bar and there's a lady sitting there by herself. She's dressed to the nines. She smells nice. Her hair's done, nails did, and she wants to be approached. That's a bit of an assumption, but hey, let's just take it.
I say that because I have some friends, some single friends that have done that. They want to be approached.
Okay, I get you.
They want to be approached. So guys are scared to do it now. Now, what's happening in the media, they could be deemed as harassing.
But why does the woman have to wait for the man to approach them? Why can't the woman approach the man? If they're going out intentionally to meet somebody, why can't the woman do the same?
It's not seen as a done thing to do, is it?
But then you've been waiting all day, then, isn't it? If you're waiting to have
some women, isn't it?
Then that's old school, isn't it? You can be waiting all day for that man to approach you.
Hold that, because I'm going to remind you of something that I said to you. Right. So I just want to
Right.
make sure, I just want to make sure that we heard what Jason said. So Jason said he's got single friends that have gone out to be approached, but because of this confusion about what's acceptable for men and what's in relation to approaching somebody, men are not approaching them. So there's that point to make. So I just want to say, Sharon, do you remember when I sent you a pic? I was in the gym.
I want to hear this. What kind of pictures you sending to my wife?
That's not the topic of
I just want to say that Sharon's behaviour, what she said was upright and godly. And so I sent a photograph of somebody that looked fit in the gym, you see. My God. Anyway. Stop.
Yeah.
And she says to me, well, go and approach him. I said, me? Approach him? Are you crazy? I wouldn't do that.
Why not?
It's true.
Why not?
I
So
did
that's-
say- I did say that to you.
Why
Yeah.
not? Why not?
No, because I'm
Right.
old
Yeah,
school.
but again, you can approach just having a normal conversation. How often,
Yeah.
do, I know it's cheesy. How often do you come to the gym? But why not make that
Well, have you
Well, you could have just said,
conversation? You
just ask him
can.
if he's got a brother?
First
Shut
of all,
I could've
when
said-
I go to the gym, I'm not.
No, but you could have made
I'm
it.
in my
you could have
worst
made a- you could have
situation.
made a
Yeah,
suggestion.
but I'm there for the
Does it
gym.
matter?
But if you looked at him and thought, oh, he's attractive, you could have made a suggestion. Oh, could you show me how to work this?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Equipment.
Come on, man.
If I was there, we'd go like,
Come on.
I ain't got the lyrics because that's
you
not
don't
me.
have to
need
have
no
lyrics.
lyrics.
You can just be
You can help me
you.
pull it down.
Innit? You can just be you.
Okay, we're going on to the
Move
next
on.
part.
Yeah.
Move on.
Get to
Approach
the
the
part.
man.
Yeah, hot
This
up
is
his
You
head.
can't see the blush.
Hold on, no. Yeah. All right, so sorry, Jason, I interrupted what you were saying.
You
Tell
did
me,
digress.
Jason.
You digress.
Right, fine.
It's fine. You're supposed to back me up. Anyway, so
She get nervous. See her play with the necklace. Well, yeah, touch fun.
In case the guy in the gym will listen.
You know who you are.
you guys are terrible. You know, I invite you as panel members, and this is how you treat me. Anyway,
It's called The Truth.
yeah, it is the truth. Yeah, that's the truth.
That's it.
So get
Oh
talking.
gosh. Okay, ironic. Anyway, so do we think that we should maybe move on to what we think are definite no-nos when approaching a woman or trying to interact with them?
Probably being too forceful in conversation and approach.
I think if someone gives you a clear, it's a bit dubious that if someone clearly is not interested in you, then maybe you should just fall back. Yeah, and there can be many ways that you know that person.
But
Either
sometimes
they
men
verbally
see that as
say
a
it.
challenge, you know. Sometimes men see that as a challenge. Think they're going to push it a bit more to see if I can get something from this woman. You know what I mean? So they'll keep pursuing it.
It's difficult because on the one side, as you're saying now, the guy might think, actually, yeah, let me just keep pursuing it.
Yeah.
And I do, you correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be wrong, but if a man comes across initially, you know, a woman may not want to show interest straight away, so she gives, you know, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that she's not
Hard to
interested.
get.
Yeah,
innit?
because exactly.
Hard
Hard
to
to
get.
get. You're not gonna get me that easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to
Play-
do a bit more.
play
graft.
games.
Yeah.
Graft.
So I think
Sharon
that's what
says.
Jason's saying. That's where the confusion comes in. It's like, well, okay, well, when do I stop? And, you know,
Yeah.
how do I?
Yeah.
What's a clear signal to tell me, okay, now I'm going too far and she's not interested?
Yeah.
What is?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
What is?
What is the clear signal? If you're
I
not
don't know.
interested.
Well, if she, I think if she
like the
says,
shark man, like the shark man.
I think if she says,
What's his-
no,
what's his
I'm not
clear signal?
interested, I've got a man. Listen, people are trying
They
to
don't
resurrect
know,
things
they
from
don't
other
know that
episodes.
They will find it. They will find it. They will find it.
How do we know that story?
What was his clear signal?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Dino. I think there's something wrong with you.
The shark man.
I'm very interested in this conversation.
We'll talk about that off air.
Where was
Sorry,
I?
Jason. We got sidetracked.
Okay, we were talking about clear indications that you should just back off. But even though I'm saying this, I think sometimes this isn't clear indication. But I've just said, if someone says to you, I'm not interested, I've got a man, that might be a clear sign. But then I always hear people say, yeah, I don't want you want. I missed out the other part because we're on YouTube. Yeah. And to some men, that might make them even more determined to pursue you. What do you think, Jason? Are there any clear indications that this person no longer wants you to talk to them?
Herein lies the problem, because something a guy may one woman on one night may be happy with that, and then he can say exactly the same thing the following week. That woman will say, "You must have done too far." So I guess we're all different, and it's going to be for a man. So it's when the man has the ball, and the bossy enough to then say what to go in and do what I. Some women might think it's okay, and some may not. But that may not ever make that as long.
Yeah. So Jason says that what might be unacceptable to one person may be acceptable to another person. So there's no clear-cut indication of when you should stop pursuing somebody, and that the situation just may be long.
Yeah.
So we haven't really got a conclusion to this, have we?
I think
individual
the lines have been blurred because of what's going on now. You know, again, I'm talking back in the day. Back in the day, you kind of knew what the boundaries were. You had an idea of what the boundaries were, and you didn't need clear-cut guidelines. You knew it was intuitive. Yeah. If this happens, because even the whole I've got a man, you know, have you got a man? Can you do what I do? It's them kind of lyrics you used to throw, but you'd still, through going through that kind of communication, you'd still get to a point where, you know what, she definitely doesn't want to know, so I'm gonna leave it alone. Or she's saying this, but actually she's playing hard to get. So, and again, no clear guidelines, but intuitively you knew. Whereas I think now, because of everything that's going on with the media, you know, and the fact that, okay, so I'll give you an example. Back in the day, you could approach a woman and you could touch her on the shoulder or touch her and go, yeah, you know what, I'm interested in you. Whatever looks you want to spin, but you could touch.
Yes.
Now, I think if you try and touch before you've even understood, I think that's a no-no.
Yeah.
I think that's a no-no. So I think that's one of the things that is so different to back then. I just think you can't approach a woman and touch because it could be deemed unacceptable. Even if she's interested, it could be deemed unacceptable if you're touching her before you've even got to that point. Yeah. So,
And I think definitely if a woman looks you squarely in the eye and tells you, I'm not.
Yeah.
I think you need to take
the cue. I also think that it becomes a bit scary if, for instance, you've actually pursued that person through other means. Like let's give an example. So you've met that person and you know them through associates, and they've made it in their own way clear they're not interested, but then you go and search them out on social media.
That's too far.
And then slide in them DMs.
That's
stalking.
That's called stalking, and I suppose a clear-cut indication is, well, if you've got some sort of an injunction against you, that means she ain't interested. He ain't interested. Let it go before you get a criminal record. So let us know what you think. What are the definite no-nos in respect of talking or trying to get a dialogue with the opposite sex? And do you think any of our acceptables are acceptable, or are they just downright unacceptable
I've got a
to
point.
you?
Sorry, I just thought of something. Sorry.
Okay, go on.
Just before you wrap up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a question out there, but because a lot of people do dating, meeting by social media,
Yes.
do you think the fact that it's difficult to understand whether or not what a guy should do is a problem because not enough people have that first-hand experience of actually approaching people? So because they don't approach them, because they don't approach people and they do it online, when they actually go to approach someone, that's why there's this, I don't know what I should be doing because I'm not used to. Do you know what I mean? Back in the day, you go in a bar or you see someone, you meet them, you talk to them, can I have your number? Now it's, let me Google you first.
Yeah.
Let me Google you first, see what kind of person you are.
Who your friends are.
Yeah. Before I even think of approaching you. So I think it's that kind of lack of experience in terms of that first-hand conversation. That's why now there's, I don't know what I should be doing when I don't know what's acceptable. Do I do this or not? I don't know.
So Joe, you've got something to add, haven't you?
Yes. So I think it's because things have changed. The way people are interacting, like know someone has changed so much. Then maybe the woman can help the man out. If he does come over and he puts in the same thing, then kind of indicate you're okay with this. So therefore, then it's just leaving it all on him for him to get. Maybe just help him out. Therefore, make it easy. Not every woman wants to do that, but I think things have changed. Maybe what a woman will need to do as well, just to help the situation.
Yeah. So Jason says, if you are approached by a man, help them out. Make them feel like you're actually interested in having a conversation with them. Don't give them such a hard time, because the lines are really blurred as to whether you want them to pursue you or not.
And I think that just adding on to that, and I'm using my daughters now as an example. My one daughter who has said, she said, "Oh, I'm socially awkward." That's what she says, and that's because their lives exist so much. So when it comes to this sort of face-to-face thing, it's a bit difficult. So I definitely agree that that's what makes it difficult. So as Jason is saying, it's the female needs to help the guy out, and just need to go back to traditional ways of communicating.
The younger generation, especially not just saying the younger generation, but you can be really brave on the internet, on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. But when it comes to face, you got nothing to say.
It's true.
Very true.
So okay, so I got the nod from there. If you've got any comments in relation to what we've discussed, please do put them down below, and please do share and subscribe. Good day.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.